I've talked to a man I don't know. The thing is, he wasn't alive. This happened 7 years ago. I was still in college, struggling to finish up my remaining exams, drinking every Saturday with my friends on the bridge in front of the local castle. Few different groups of people were there always, all of them friendly and about the same age. This is important information for later. My parents own a fishing supplies shop. It's a small town, home business, with many people coming in being either elderly people or youngsters getting in on the fishing action. So one day I was waiting for my mother to handle all the customers as the cashier, while my father was explaining details to new fishermen. I needed to talk to her, so I just waited aside. Since there was many people waiting to pay and to get the receipt, one older man approached me, asking me if I knew his grandson. He told me his name, and I realized he is the one of the drinking buddies from the Saturday booze sessions. He told me about his issues with college professors, his plans to move to Germany with his girlfriend, all kinds of information I didn't know about the dude. He came next in line to pay, so he quickly did, and while exiting the shop, he waved to me, and told me not to forget to greet his grandson. Next Saturday, I met the dude and told him his grandpa said hi, only to see him go pale and shocked within a second. Both of his grandpas were long time dead. I've described on detail how he looked like, how he talked, how tall he was, and he thought I was joking. I've asked him to show me all of the pictures all of his older male relatives, and he managed to find many on his Facebook profile. He showed me and I picked the right person within second. The older man I've seen had no brothers or similar looking relatives. Dude I told this to was weirded out by this, and he left soon after. Day after, I've asked my mom if she had noticed anyone like that. It's a small town, but my parents don't know everyone coming in, or notice not so well-known people when there's many customers. My mother told me that she had seen a man talking to me yesterday while I was waiting, and described him in same detail as I've seen him. There is no similar looking dude with that name and surname as older man told me, so it's not possible it's a mix-up. All of the details this man mentioned about this dude were correct. I could never know his life plans, nor have I heard them from anyone else. To this day, thinking about this puzzles me. It's creepy, haunting, and I don't like it even though nothing bad happened. Comments. I don't know what it is, but my grandfather told me a story a few times, which I think I've posted about before on here, from when he served in the Navy. He said he'd been doing helicopter training with a buddy of his, and they were ending their day at the scheduled hangar. They got there just fine, unloaded and got ready to have a good time. So, they walk around the base a little to see if there's anyone they can split a case with, and come across this group of 3 or 4 Australian guys hanging around a tank. The guys get to talking, they get some beers in them, and by the end of the night, my grandpa knew everything there was to know about these guys, where they'd come from, their wives/kids' names and pictures they had in their wallets. The night ends and my grandpa and the friend needed to get back to sleep in the helicopter. They told the guys they would be back in the morning before they took off again to repay the beers they'd had and help clean up, and called it a night. Next morning, they go out, tank, and the guys are nowhere to be seen. There was absolutely no evidence of the party the night before, even though they'd smoked and there should have at least been cigarette butts on the ground, but maybe these guys were up early and took care of it. My grandpa then went to find someone who might know where the guys had gone, and ended up finding this receptionist lady, whose face, when told the names of the guys they were looking for, went ashen. She then slowly told my grandpa that the men he was looking for had died not 100 yards from where he saw them, in an accident that caused an explosion in their tank. He had no way of explaining how he knew everything he did about these men other than the fact that he had met them, somehow, and heard it from them. Welcome to our channel. We will post videos every day. Please like, share and subscribe. This will help us make more content for you. Thank you. Conversation deleted from 2 people. Long ago I was hanging out with a friend. We were talking, having a deep life conversation and questioning life and reality, etc. Then some things were said back and forth. In the moment I was aware of what was being said and in shock of what I was hearing and what was happening because I wasn't in control. Then the conversation ended and then deleted. We're both sitting there quiet in our heads. I'm sitting here dumbfounded and trying to remember what the fuck were we just saying to each other. It felt important. I remember the shocked feeling I had hearing the conversation happening, but I couldn't remember any of it. I just could remember the moment and the feeling. I finally say out loud, "What were we just talking about?" He looks at me shocked and says, "I don't know, I've been sitting here trying to remember and I can't." So we started to talk about what just happened, and we were shocked because he described everything the same way I did. Both aware this conversation was happening between us, but like it wasn't us and we were both just listening in. And whatever we heard, we both were shocked about what was being said and felt like we really needed to remember what was just said but couldn't, and then both instantly forgot. I have a million theories, but really I have no clue what happened that day, but it became one of the things that's really made me question our reality. Added to add, no drugs and no, this isn't just a matter of forgetting what was said. We both remember someone else talking through us. Believe what you want, if you've never had an experience yourself, no story will ever make you a believer. Comments. Sometimes when you get too close to understanding, the universe deletes your trains of thought. I know exactly what you were talking about.
There is a theory which states that if ever anyone discovers exactly what the universe is for and why it is here, it will instantly disappear and be replaced by something even more bizarre and inexplicable. There is another theory which states that this has already happened.
I've experienced something similar while daydreaming/dozing off, where I'll have what I can only describe as a cosmic realization and then poof, it's gone.
I used to say it like this: your mind is a thimble in the ocean, and all the knowledge is like the sea, you can only hold so much, but once in a while the thimble turns inside out and just for a second, you see it all and it all makes sense, then it's gone again. This reminds me of an incident when I was around 18. I was walking home in the evening, thinking about God, reality, when all of a sudden a question popped into my head, a very obvious and simple question, which the answer to would have been the key to logically prove something about the existence of God, or about reality. I got very excited, but then my mind went blank. I forgot the question, the answer, what exactly it was about. I remember how I was walking up the stairs slowly, while being very confused, trying to remember anything. But I couldn't. I still can't. Therapist has zero memory of me after many meetings. This happened to me back in 2013 and definitely was not good for my mental health. I remembered my story today and thought maybe it's a good fit here. Back in 2013 I was referred to a therapist by my doctor. Her name was Cheryl and her office was on the 3rd floor of a building downtown. It was a pain to see her and pay for parking, but I was desperate to talk to someone. We meet and I tell her the detailed story of what has been happening to me the past year. She appeared to be listening and sympathetic. She gives some really basic advice: read a book, any book, go for a walk, and books our next appointment for the next week. Next week comes. I go to her door on the 3rd floor. Cheryl greets me and asks what she can do to help. I try to pick up from where we left off. Cheryl says, "Excuse me, but I don't remember you at all. Can you go back to the beginning?" So I explain in detail what happened again. And I'd like to think my experience to share was pretty crazy at the time, surely she would remember? Without sounding like I'm a narcissist. Anyway, we have another meeting and she gives advice anyone could say off the top of their head. We book a 3rd appointment the next week. I show up for my 3rd appointment and Cheryl's office isn't there. Door locked. Lights out. Her name not on the door anymore. I take a spooky elevator down to the 1st floor as it's an old building and find a receptionist. The receptionist tells me that she can't help me contact Cheryl but says that her office is in the basement and gives me Cheryl's business card. I go down to the basement, which has 0 other people around. Her door is there, but it's locked and dark and she's not there. I get upset and leave. Clearly Cheryl is incompetent anyway, she must be the worst therapist. I decide to give her a call and leave a message asking why she wasn't at our appointment. Cheryl calls me back and leaves me a voicemail. She tells me that she has no appointments booked for today. She also tells me she is sorry but she has no idea who I am and has no record of me even talking to her. And if I'd like to book a meeting to meet her to call back. I never called back. I was upset a long time, thought perhaps she was an NPC. Or maybe just a bad therapist. The voicemail freaked me out pretty bad. This past spring I asked to be referred to a therapist again. And guess who called and kept a voicemail? Someone named Cheryl. So I didn't call back.
Comments. I used to work with a therapist whose career ended similarly. And after she assisted her brother with evading law enforcement after he shot and killed a sheriff's deputy. Turns out she had developed a severe drug addiction. She would fall asleep during sessions with clients on the days she'd bother to show up at all. Every interaction with her, even as her coworker, was like it was the first time we had met. She only lasted about 6 months with our company. It's also possible Cheryl developed some sort of brain or cognitive functioning issue that is severely affecting her memory. But part of being a good professional in any helping role means knowing when it's time to step away from practicing for the sake of your clients. Anyway, none of that may explain and definitely doesn't excuse her terrible treatment of you, not only from a professionally ethical standard but just as a human. Please don't give up on all therapists because of one bad one, especially if you still feel that could be beneficial. Do you have a story about a parallel universe? Please share it with us in the comments and we will post it on the channel. See you soon.